Hey VC, it's Matt again for the third time tonight. Don't want to do a video without showing something. So this is my copy of Back to the Egg, Paul McCartney and Wings. Robert Z, if you're watching this, I know you're probably having a conniption about right now. This is far from mint condition, obviously. This is actually my replacement copy. I had a copy of this. It's one of my favorite McCartney albums. Had a copy of this back when it came out, and I sold it somewhere back then. And I ran across this in a half-price books for $3.98, so I went ahead and picked it up. So this is the replacement until I can find a better replacement. But the record, surprisingly, is in good shape. So it's playable. No cracks or scratches. The cover's a little beat to hell there, but anyway, what I wanted to do, because I didn't really have anything else to show, um, was Joe, Mean MrMayo, wanted a response on how you organize your collection. Being that I shoot this on my laptop, I can't really go carry it around and show you where my records are and everything. So I don't have anything spectacular or interesting probably to add to the conversation there, but I thought I would weigh in just because I made a couple of videos tonight and I thought I'd make a third one. So how do I store my collection? Alphabetically. So Springsteen's under S, Beatles under B, etc., and alphabetically by order of release. So, Please Please Me and With the Beatles and A Hard Day's Night, and then the American albums Meet the Beatles and whatever. So that's how I store my record collection pretty much. I don't, my vinyl collection, I sold a lot of stuff, like I've said several times, so it's not huge. It's probably, I need to count it, probably ought to be a good idea to see what I've got there, but I'd say somewhere in the 300 to 400 area, so it's not really huge at this point. But so I don't break them into, like, here's the rock and roll, here's the soul, here's the blues, here's the jazz. Some people do. They're just all in there in alphabetical order. The couple of exceptions to that are, I've got my Beatles records, and then at the end of the Beatles records I've got the solo Beatle records, like here's all the John in order of release that I have. Here's all the George and Paul and Ringo. So Paul's not under M. In other words, he's just right after the Beatles. Um, I don't really do that for anyone else. I think I've got a couple of Empty Glass and the Ronnie Lane. Forget the name of that. The Pete Townsend solo album. A couple of those that are at the end of the Who section, and I've got that god awful Keith Moon solo album that I got just because I like Keith Moon. Otherwise, they're just in a alphabetical order and by date of release. The other exception to that is my Christmas albums and CDs. Also, I have all of those grouped together in by their own by themselves. And there's at the end of my after Z, there's where I put my various artists compilations. Um, Things like Nuggets and stuff like that. And there are a few record labels like Numero that I've talked about before, and I just put all my Numero records together, or all my Secret Stash label records together, because those tend to be, some of those are focused on one group or artist, but most of those are compilations of various artists, so I just put all those together. And actually, I'll show a Numero. Here's um, Buttons from Champaign to Chicago. It's a power pop, sort of the late 70s, early 80s new wave stuff. The Numero records all have numbers on them in order of release, so 44 and 43 would be before and 45 after, so it's easy to kind of store those all together. And that's about it. The only other thing I do is some of my more rare albums, my Butcher cover, some of those McCartney albums that I've got lately that are out of print and hard to find, and some of the box set albums like the Sly Stone set that I showed not too long ago. I don't have the Butcher cover and that stuff mixed in with just my regular records, so I have them uh, in another area. And there you go. That's how I store my records. I've got some old Peaches records. I don't know if you had those where you live, but Sound Warehouse and Peaches were two of the big record chains in Fort Worth, Dallas area back in the late 70s, early 80s. they've got these crate things to hold records. You can set them up where you can flip through them, but I've got them on the side and the records are in there, so you can kind of pull them out like a bookshelf. And then in the other room I've got a uh, shelf thing that I've got like a, you can put a TV in, but there's no TV in there, and I've got some records in there and down in the drawers. So I don't know how exciting that is for anybody, but I just wanted to respond to Joe's wanted responses, and hope everyone's having a good weekend. Thanks.